Hello and welcome to Wait, I Am Black, a podcast about the moments when race stops being abstract and starts to matter. I'm Michael, and today I am joined by Fizza Qureshi. Fizza,
Hi.
thank you
Hi.
very
Hi,
much for
Michael.
being here and for joining me in this conversation.
Well, thank you for inviting me on to Wait, I'm Black. I'm excited to join you and speak about my many moments of discovery.
Yeah, it's great to have you on board. I do believe that we're going to have a fantastic conversation. So, first, let's start with who is Fizza?
Fizza feels weird talking about myself in the third person, but at the moment, I am a CEO of a migration charity, mum of two. Work takes up a lot of my life, so I can't say I've got loads of hobbies at the moment, apart from looking after two kids, 5 and 7. But prior to that, I wasn't in the charity sector at all. I thought I was going to be a dentist, believe it or not. Rebel, not going to be the traditional doctor that my parents and South Asian parents want me to be. I was like, no, I'll be a dentist. So did science and thought, okay, dentistry actually wasn't my thing in the end. And then went into science field and did a degree around that and thought I was going to be like the part I was going to play in helping humanity was going to be through discovery and of vaccines and preventing diseases. And that was my social justice kind of action. And unfortunately got quite bored with being in a lab. I mean, I love the lab part of it, the experiments, that's the bit where you're doing. But the theory around it, which just used to drain me, and I'd fall asleep reading very dull articles, journals. And I got more passionate about actual campaigning and doing stuff. And then, the journey has ended to where I am now, really. And I've been in a very fortunate position, I have to say. I feel like right place, right time, volunteering in the right organization, getting a job, meeting the right people through that organization, and then being, kind of offered that coaching, that support, mentoring that you need. And then ending up in a leadership position, which I really wasn't ever looking for.
Wow.
But others had kind of gone, oh, I think you could do this job. And I was like, really? I mean, I know I've got a big mouth and I will say it like it is, but yeah, okay, let's give it a go. And here I am.
How many years now?
In the social justice sector, in a leadership, let's say in a leadership position, now 8-9 years.
Oh, wow.
So in a CEO position, let's say, and that's been really, it is up and down. And I know you've been in CEO positions as well. It's very isolating. It's very imposter syndrome, especially as a brown Muslim woman with a mouth. And I mean, I've got a mouth. I know some funders don't want me in that space, and that's fine. And then prior to that, probably about 6 years in the social justice sector. So with a healthcare organization. And then after that, I went to a sexual health and HIV charity, which was, again, a really different, much, much bigger, really different space. And I think it's there where I was like, oh, okay, they've forgotten about Black people here. And I'm talking about it being a HIV charity. And sadly, one of the two groups that are most affected are gay men and Black Africans. And I was like, what's happening here? And coming in and reminding them that they were missing this group, and being able to bring in some, it was again, disappointing to see that wasn't a primary thing for them. Did my bit, what I could do. A lot of bureaucracy, sadly, as there is in some of these bigger places. And then now when I'm in a leadership role, I can do what I like to a certain degree. Obviously, board trustees will be like, no, she can't do everything she likes.
Yep.
But the autonomy is there, and that
Yeah.
you can take it in the directions you want
Yeah.
it to really go.
You can set the tone. You can set the vision.
Yeah.
And drive it.
Yeah.
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 No, I totally so much. We have so much that we share in common. Obviously, the CEO experience, the nonprofit experience, but also I studied geology.
Oh,
My first degree. Yeah, absolutely. I studied geology, and I thought I was going to be the wealthiest geologist. I'm from Nigeria. Nigeria is the sixth largest oil producing nation.
Yeah.
So I was going to work in that sector and make a lot of money. But very, very quickly, I realized that my passion did not lie in the natural, in the development of natural resources, which geology focuses on. It's light in development of human people and systems and processes that enhances people's lives and experiences. So yeah, I made the same kind of movement as you did.
That's so interesting.
Exactly. So we do share a lot from that point of view.
I did biotechnology as my first degree. And actually in it, I was going to take a gap year and do work in industry. I was applying to pharmaceuticals. I mean, I'm so glad I failed to get a place because who knows where I'd be.
Yeah.
Our tutor at the time, who was meant to be helping us, was, I think, preoccupied with other things essentially, and just failed us on deadlines and everything. And so everywhere I applied, they were like, "You've missed deadlines. No, thank you." And I'm just like, God, he saved me actually. Those small mercies, basically, that was it. He saved me from going into an industry that I don't agree with and I would, campaign against because of the way that it functions and the exploitation of people who are really vulnerable at that time.
Yeah, no. So it was no, thank you. They were telling you about at the time, but now it's you saying no, thank you.
Thank God. Yeah, thank whoever was in charge. Thank God, whoever was in charge of my destiny or is in charge of my destiny to not move me into that space. Yeah, definitely.
So let's go into a conversation about the moments when race starts to matter. But we'll do so by first looking at the moment or the period before race started to matter. What was life like for you growing up in general?
I mean, there's two of us. I've got a sibling, younger sibling, mum, dad. My dad had migrated to the UK from Pakistan as a student. He then got married and my mum came over very young. So she was 18, 19 when she had me. We were in social housing, we were in a council house, a flat at the time. It's some memories coming of linked with where that flat was, in the garden. And then moved to a house again, council, and then right to buy. I mean, there was some ambition, at least, maybe more from my mum than my dad, to give us a secure future. But it was very ingrained in being and holding on to a Pakistani identity. My mum always, and still to this day, wears very shalwar kameez, which is traditional Pakistani clothes for women. And my dad would really push that on us. So if we were going out, why aren't you wearing? And we would just, and I think as you start to grow, there was something about me really trying to distance myself from that part of my identity. I think there was an embarrassment, to be frank. I think there was also, if you're forcing it on me, I'm going to push back. Rebellion. And I think, parcel of that is probably also to do with the racism I was experiencing at the time. But it was like a probably a very dull upbringing, to be honest. So, like, we weren't, my parents were not in any way wealthy. They weren't, even though my dad had an education, my mum didn't really. So we weren't like, class-wise, very much working class. My dad used to work for I can't remember, like the satellites you see at the airport.
Okay.
The radars.
Radars,
Yeah, so he worked for a company assessing the quality of the products there. I used to remember, unusually my dad doesn't drive, and he's never managed to pass a driving test.
Oh,
And which is very unusual. And so my mum became the one that passed and drove us around. So again, very unusual again for a South Asian household where the dad is not the one in control, literally in control of the car. So I just remember him going out. He's getting a lift with someone really close by that used to work in the same place. My mum was the one that really, I guess, in a way, not working at the time or doing work from home. So you could get things to do at home at the time. So I remember us, like, every so often, it feels like child labor now, but it's not, I promise. Did it willingly. The fuse that goes into a plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to sit there and glue. My mum used to sit and glue them, because you'd glue them, you put this paper into the glass tube and you'd glue the
I never thought about how those things are made, actually.
By a poor South Asian woman and her kids. That's how
Wow.
they're made. Not maybe now, but she used, and then she used to get, like, you'd get paid whatever per however many you get through. Just remember,
I'll look at those things differently from now on.
Well, brown glue. Look at brown glue differently, because to remember that. And so little things like that she did to just have pocket money so that she could buy us the things rather than rely on my dad. And she tried to, like, give us the best, basically, in what was a hostile space for her as well. She was experiencing a lot of racism and trying to shield us from some of it, just physically and mentally as well.
Yeah, that would have mostly been in I would imagine, late 80s, 90s, growing up.
Early 80s, so I'm an 80s. I'm born in 1980, so I'm giving my age away, but hey, age, just whatever. Yeah. Yeah. And she came in, like, I think probably like 78.
Yeah.
78, 79. And she shared with me clearly things that I don't remember of incidences that happened.
Yeah.
They still live in the area. They still live in that space, in and around the space where it happened. So, she can say, I was walking down that road and this is what happened here.
Wow.
And strangely enough, I now live back in the same hometown, which is, like, it's gone full circle a bit. Yeah.
It has, hasn't it? Okay. That's all really, really interesting. So was race present in all these times? And what was that like?
Yeah. I mean, definitely, I think I've got a clear block on some moments, and maybe, just being too young and not knowing what I'm experiencing is racism. Just maybe seeing it through difference. Oh, I'm different. And that's why
that's actually what I mean. At this point, I will come to the actual moments that's your white and black moments. I'm trying to get to the heart of when racism, or not racism, when race and racialization was not a thing. It may have been it may have been something you're conscious of, you're aware of, but it wasn't a thing you dwelt on. Basically, how far back would you have to think?
I think I'm going back into, gosh, like you're talking about it when I was like 6, 7. I'm talking about, like, really, like, that early childhood.
Wow.
Because it was so overt.
Really? Wow. Okay.
It wasn't, now it's like you say it, you will be, potentially prosecuted. At that time, it was a free-for-all. It was like you would walk down the street, someone would say something from the car. I think, again, this is through probably some of the memories that my mom shared with me, like where she's gone and fought for me. And she said, I had to go in and say something to the teacher. I had to go in and tell them. And that's the moments clearly where I was being othered, and I was being othered in these ways. And she was the one challenging and pushing back on the racism, that kind of like, again, shielding me a little bit from what I was experiencing, and then fighting my corner and going, I will go in and tell them. And I think I just probably didn't link it to this language that we have now, which is it's racism in the education system. Like it was seen as like, if you were called a racial slur, that is racism. But I think the things where you're in the nursery or you're in the school system, you don't think the way that you're being treated by teachers is necessarily racism. You just think again, or maybe I'm not bright, maybe maybe I am annoying, and maybe I'm all these other things, rather than, oh no, the teacher is just an outright racist, or they hold prejudice and are discriminatory. I think like there's definitely periods in the school life where I'm like, now I go back and I'm like, yeah, I was just experiencing racism. That's what I was experiencing, and I just thought it was navigating school life in the UK, basically.
Yeah, no, I get that. The thing about racialization, from the experience that I have had, is that, of course, there is the top end of it where outright racism is what is observable, and obviously the only person that can tell you that is the person who's experienced it and it's impacted them. And then even on the other side, on the less extreme end of it, the fact that you're racialized by others means that there is a tendency for them to already put apply an interpretation of that racialization to how they engage with you.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's how they speak to you, how they relate with you, how they see themselves in you, and things like that. And ultimately, that affects, your experience. That influences your experiences with them.
Yeah. 100%. There's a teacher that stands out. I mean, she was not a very nice teacher anyway. I mean, to most of the children. But there was definitely a moment where my mum had got fed up, and she was like, I'm so tired of. She basically was just like, I don't understand why she's picking on you. So let me go and find out. Are you just not very bright? Like, what is it you? Anyway, so she kind of confronted her, which is like amazing for, again, a South Asian mom who's she learned English in the UK. She didn't know it. And she picked up really quickly. And so she was like ready, like, I will challenge. She would do anything for her kids, literally anything. And so she went in and she was like, right, let's talk to her. Because she said, I just don't understand, like, why she's always marking you down, or it just feels like there's something not right in the way that she treats you. And so she confronted her, and then she was just like, all like, oh no, she's great, she's bright, blah blah blah, like. So I think like suddenly when they're confronted with someone who's willing to say, tell me exactly what it is, then that is the issue.
Because then if there is something, there will be evidence, because then you can say, look at the work I asked her to do, look at what she did.
Yeah, exactly, right. Like, okay, the facts are here. There's something not, in her learning that she needs to improve. Anyway, that wasn't there. And then she basically was coming out. I think we were leaving.
Okay.
And she tripped over. And at that point, she suddenly needed my mum's help. So what was really interesting was suddenly like the power was reversed. It was like, she held power in that space where my mum was going in, and then suddenly it was reversed. My mum held power because here she was helping and aiding her, and her manner changed from that point onwards. She was like suddenly like nicer with me.
Oh, wow.
So she, you know, goodness knows what was going through her mind. But something switched. Whether it was, I'm going to be challenged. I cannot get away with this mum and this child. Or she was like, oh, wait a second, brown people do have caring and compassion. And here is someone giving me care and compassion, but literally helping me off the floor. But it's one I remember, and also one that my mum recollects quite a lot, like the teacher that she went in. But there's another moment where she wrote my name wrong, and I know like names is a big thing, and for me, my name is very unusual. Fizza is not common. It rhymes with lots of things. She wrote my name wrong on a certificate. Now, considering I'm her student, to write my name wrong and then to in assembly kind of call it out as it was written rather than what my name. Call it out wrong, and you know, people laugh, and you're just like, as a child, traumatizing. So I've you know, there are moments definitely through that process of like that racialization, my name kind of through the school system definitely has kind of like stuck with me at points.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, I can see why that would be the case. I can definitely see that. So yes, for you, race and racialization and the consciousness of these has been almost lifelong, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely. I mean, it's been lifelong. I think it's evolved into the kind of the othering through being Muslim now. 9/11 has, you know, and the response from certain states. But yeah, it's always been there that I am like Pakistani, and you know, shorten that to the slur. I am that, and I think that's where the more you are kind of told this is your identity, the more I was like, I need to get away from it. That means I'm going to wear Western outfits, and I'm going to not rebel in the sense of like, you know, as some may say, oh, that's the way that traditional rebellion is. Oh, I went out drinking and I moved away from my religion. I didn't do that, but there was definitely for me a distance in terms of like from that part of my heritage, which it's sad looking back at it now, going because it's the thing my kids are embracing, and I'm encouraging them to embrace their heritage, and they happen to be Sudanese and Pakistani, and I'm like, love both those things. You know, took them to Pakistan last year. They absolutely loved it, and it was my daughter was like, you know, I want to go to this party and I want to wear shalwar kameez, and I was like, are you sure here you want to? And she was like, yep. And I was like, all right, amazing. Okay, we're on the right path here. Like, I can reclaim what I lost maybe a bit through them.
Wow, and we'll talk. We'll come back to that and unpack it some more. You know that how you responded, basically. You know, which is what you're describing now, or how it shaped your behavior. What for you would you? What would you say that your moment of realization was? At what point did you realize that race was not only the color of your skin, it was going to be consequential?
Moment where, like, probably it's just a key moment that's in my head. We moved to the house, we lived in an area where there was another family who were from Morocco, and then we were the other South Asian family, Pakistani family in the space. Very white, working class kind of households in it. in the area. But there was one household who happened to be at the end of our terraced row of houses where they were explicitly racist. I mean, like, you know, where he could, he would say it, the dad.
Okay.
You know, fed it into his kids, so the kids would, like, at school.
Repeat it, yeah.
Yeah, repeat it at school. And there was one moment where I had got a new bike and I was riding it, you know, and in those days we did actually play outside, like, properly, you know. There was TV was for three channels. Then we had a fourth, you know, and you recorded things. But anyway, we were like, you go outside and play. And so I was on my bike, and it's a cul-de-sac, right? So it's not like a main road. And I'm going round, and this dad drives down, and I'm riding, and I move to the side, and I parked the bike up, and he wound down the window, and he looks at me. So he's not parked up. He's parked up next to me. So he hasn't got into his parking space, and he goes, "Next time I see you, I'll run you over."
Oh, wow.
And I was like...
I wasn't expecting that.
Sorry. Yeah, it's trigger warning. Violence. And...
Wow.
You know, and he goes and parks up, and I think I had... there was someone I was playing with outside. There was a white family, and they had a daughter. They'd moved in more recently, and they were actually, like, welcoming. Like, we played with their daughter and stuff, and she was my age. And I think I went and sat on a bench not far away, and I just sat there and I started crying. And I think her dad, from what I remember, her dad came and he's like, "What's happened?" And I was like, "Okay, well, this is what's happened. This is what he just said to me." And I didn't know, what do I do with that? Anyway, we were being babysat, I think, at the time. And she was like, "I'm calling the police. He's threatened a child," basically. And I think my parents were then there by the time the police came. And I've got this memory of, like, obviously the police speaking to me, what was said, blah, 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 going into his house, coming out laughing. You know, like, joking.
He came out laughing.
The police officer's laughing with the guy.
The police officer. Okay.
Yeah, police officer's gone in and he's come out the house and he's laughing. So for me, that memory was like, you are the other. You are the brown kid. You're the P kid. You don't matter. Even in this context where you are a child that's being threatened, right? Like, by this man. So I think that's something that, like, when you recall, you're like, that's a key moment, like, that comes up that says, yeah, you were brown and you're going to be treated like this. Kind of, you know, people will evolve and, you know, that might differ along the way, but yeah, you are the other. You don't matter in this circumstance.
I know you said you sat on a bench and you cried, which obviously explains the emotion that you must have felt at that point. But can you express how that emotion, what that emotion really was like for you in that moment?
I think probably a lot of it was shock to have that experience, and for someone to hate you so much that that's the lengths that they would go to like, I'll remove you from this earth if I can because of the color of your skin, because I hate you so much. This is what I'm willing to do. And I think there's probably, that, oh wow, like, there's no peace. You can't get any peace with someone when someone lives around you like that. Like, you know, then you become like just the heightened state you end up in. I think there was probably also fear, actually, at that time. I had done something wrong. I was in the wrong. I shouldn't have been in the road. I shouldn't have been, you know, I should have been more careful about getting out the way of the drive of the car. Whereas now it's, you know, the cyclist's right, and you know, all those things have changed. But at that time, it was like the car rules. And so maybe it was my fault and I was wrong. And maybe in a way I was internalizing, oh, maybe he was right to tell me that that's the consequence next time. So yeah, probably many of those things were going through my head.
And I think we see a lot of instances where something happens and people rationalize it. And not just, I'm not talking about the person experiencing it, but all the observers basically rationalize, say, yeah, maybe if you, speaking to what you just said, if you hadn't been playing in the middle of the road, but it's okay for, I would imagine, well, not imagine, it is definitely okay for a child to think like that. But the reality is that how can we ever say that even if you were really blocking the road and refusing to move, which is an extreme thought, but even if you were doing that, the consequences for an adult to tell you, next time I see you on the road, I'm going to run you over with a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the police officer that came around. What did you, in that moment, what did you interpret his role as in, what did you think, what role did he play in that situation?
I mean,
Not
I
what
thought
he was expected to.
No. I think thought I was going to get some justice. If he was going to get told off that what he said to me is not okay, a rap on the knuckles for him, essentially. And this man who's done it, this perpetrator, is going to understand the consequences of saying something like this to someone, and it won't happen in future, kind of thing. And yeah, I think that's what I thought. Like, he's going to be, just because he's going to get told off, he's going to get there's going to be repercussions for him. And this is the repercussion. A police officer comes and sorts it out. Can't think of anything else. But, that's a child's mind at the time.
Yeah.
Where we had, police racism was even more apparent than, they weren't, like, there's a large Pakistani community in the area so it was already clear, like, the police were not our friend and never were going to be. But I think I had this naive sense, at least here, it's going to be rectified, right? Because I'm a kid. This is an adult. I'm a kid. I didn't do anything. Even though I'm trying to rationalize, like, why he might say it, I didn't do anything wrong. And what he said was wrong. But hey, that was yeah.
Oh, wow.
Not I guess in a way, like the expectation wasn't met.
Yeah. And it's funny that you try to rationalize it and explain away, because that's one recurring feature as well that I'm encountering. People experiencing things and trying to explain it away. And often the core of this podcast really is that we're not looking to ascribe intentions, because we just don't know, just as we talked about your teacher and what might be intention, the police officer as well, or anyone. But what we do know is the impact that is had, and also the expectation that you and any person in that circumstance, adult, child, would have, that once a police officer steps in, not only will justice be done, but justice will be seen to have done. And you, it appears, didn't feel or see either.
Again, you can say, like, I don't know what the conversation was in that inside their house.
It could have given them really stern words and
absolutely
come out smiling because of how well he did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's patting himself on the back like, hey, I really told him off.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think when you start visually seeing the perpetrator and the policeman being jovial with each other, you're suddenly like, this guy is laughing. Has he really been told off? Because he's joking. And the police officer is also joking, laughing with him. He's not laughing at him, he's laughing with him. And so therefore, what justice has been served? Because I'm not seeing it. Like you said, the seeing, I'm not observing that here.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing is two people getting along really well, you know? And like I said, whether it was completely unrelated to me as the victim, I'm observing, I'm thinking, have you actually told him off? Does he actually understand the consequences? Have I got the justice I need? It doesn't feel that way from what I'm observing, which is you guys having a laugh. You know, and again, that naivety as a child, but obviously also as the adults around me who were like, you know, the police, we need to call the police and get them to sort it out, thought that something might be done. Now we're not expecting him to be carted off in a police car and all that.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I think something where, yeah, there was clearly like no reflection on the gravity for the perpetrator and like no fear around the consequences that he would face if he did this again or do, you know, that kind of thing. So it just, yeah.
And what did that moment change for you? What did it change for you? Did it, what was the impact like in terms of going forward from then?
Yeah. I think you lose your trust in certain institutions for sure. Again, like I said, the police is not our friend. Here's the police feels like collusion with the racist. And I mean, I think for me, a lot of it then became like avoidance. Like, how can I make sure that I am not in his face, around him, in his space, in this racist space, so that I don't have to experience that again. So I think there was probably a lot of like retreating, like let's just stay away, you know, and hide from this guy where I possibly can. So yes, if you see his car, like let's make sure we're out of the road and make sure that I've like closer to my home or, you know, what have you, or to a safer adult or to a safer space. So that I'm not in that space with him just by myself, essentially. Like, and that means remove myself from spaces that I should have, I'm entitled to.
Yeah,
spaces
absolutely.
that aren't just for the racists. You know, like this is my territory as well.
Yeah, no doubt. So you spoke earlier about adjusting your behavior, adjusting things about you in order to fit a mold. A mold. What led to that?
I think a bit of pressure from my dad, especially. It was a bit like, oh, really embrace this side of your heritage. Be Pakistani, be proud, and so at least wear the clothes when you're coming out with me. You know, so when you're going out with him, he was very much like, where, and I was just like, absolutely not. Wearing my jeans, t-shirts, whatever, was shell suits, which was also a thing at the time. Yeah, I think it was just that, like, how can I, if I distance myself from this heritage, then maybe people will not see me as the Pakistani. I will not get called the P word. I'm fitting in, I'm assimilating, aren't I? Because I speak English, I dress like you. Okay, I might not be eating just fish and chips and beans on toast at home, but I prefer it actually to my mum. I mean, my mum hated it. She was like, dal and roti, and I was just like, oh god. And so, you know, for me, it was like, how can I kind of distance myself and be really English, prove my worth to you guys, as I'm like pushing myself away from this part of my belonging, my identity. And I just want to recall there was one person at school. She used to come in with a packed lunch, and she used to have dal sandwiches, so literally lentils in a sandwich, which I
What?
used to. I don't
Wow.
know how her mum. I know it was a thing, and it used to smell. It's not the most attractive thing to see. And I think I used to, I hope she never hears this, but laugh at the fact that she was getting these, I'm better than her. I get jam
Yeah.
and cheese
Okay.
sandwiches, and I'm better than her
Okay.
because she's getting this ethnic food in her lunch. And now I reflect and I'm thinking, damn, she was proud of her heritage. She didn't give a damn. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this podcast, but she didn't care about what others thought. This was something she was proud of. Her parents had packed it. She's going to eat it. Doesn't care if it affects other people. It's the food she's got. And yeah, there's these moments where I'm just horrified as to how I remember my response to seeing it and going, oh God, oh no. And it's that whole kind of thing of by association, right? She's a Pakistani girl. She was in the same class as me, same age. She's bringing in this. So why am I not bringing in the same? Why am I bringing in very white, bland food? But it was clearly the whole thing was make it as bland as possible. It doesn't smell, so I can fit in. So I'm not showing you what my what my Pakistani side of me at all, basically.
Yeah. No, and that's a huge consequence for experience that you could have with racialization. Is there any specifically that you want to share that led any experience that might be micro experiences that led to this point, this stage of your life, basically, where you're actively trying to deny the physical expression of who you are, basically?
I think there's those. I think there's other things where around my name, especially. I mentioned it earlier, my name is not usual. It rhymes with a lot of things. It can be shortened. And it used to be the thing I hated, you having to introduce myself, Fizza, that's a very unusual name. And they'd be like, yes. Where's it from? You explain where it's from. What does it have a meaning? Yes, it has this meaning. And then someone going, oh, it sounds like pizza. And you're like, I didn't tell you what the teacher had written on my certificate. She'd written the word fizzy, which I absolutely detested because it was the quick way to tease me, fizzy cola, pizza, all these ways that kids do and some adults. So it became the thing I hated. And I think at one point I genuinely said to my parents, I want to change my name. I need to change my name. I need to get away from this because there's too much to have to constantly justify my name as being my name. And to say it like this, and it's spelt like this, and it's, and this is what it means. Actually, it's got a really interesting meaning. And then when people hear the meaning, they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah.
What's the meaning?
So 2 ways. The written way is fidha, so not the za, fizza, but fidha. And it can mean silver lining.
Oh.
And then fizza, so as the Urdu, it would be atmosphere. So it's just it's not got horrible meanings to it, those kind of things. But I think even now sometimes where I'm in some settings and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to say my name. Oh, here we go. So just gearing myself up for it. But yeah, reclaiming it, I guess, in a way. I'm really trying to it is my name. I own it. It's that Western. I'm trying to match the Western mentality of this is what names should sound like and read like and look like. And actually, no, I've had enough. The name is the name. I'm not going to be changing it. There's going to be no deed poll request being put in.
Wow. I like that. Reclaiming your name, but beyond your name, reclaiming you. That's what you've been doing the last, I would say, many years, right?
Yeah,
Reclaiming
trying,
everything
for sure.
back. So how do you live with the consciousness that the kind of experience you shared, for example, I know that you've spoken to your own children today. So for you, generally, how do you live with the consciousness of your racialization in everyday situation?
I have become so hyper aware of like,
I've heard that so many times.
Like I'm just, I think one hyper aware even when I didn't have children, but even more so now I've got children, because I'm like, I'm going to do what my mum did.
You're looking out for them.
I'm going to look out for you. It went to the point of like, so this is what I'm saying, full circle. I got married. We were living in London. I was living in East London. Absolutely loved it. Like everyone around me is from a different part of the world, and I loved it. And then we outgrew the space and we were like, where do we go? We can't afford another place in London after the second child. And my husband was like, should we just move back? Should we move to where your parents live, where you lived? And I was like, that makes total sense. But I was like, oh no, oh my God, there's all these things that I've tried to run away from, right? Like I've run away. I'm trying to... anyway, long story short, I've moved back to exactly the same area.
Oh, wow.
That I was born and raised in, so like, relatively.
Yeah.
My kids are at my primary school. My kids are at my primary school.
Primary school.
My old primary school. And
wow.
There was a lot of like, do I choose this primary school because of my own hang-ups from the past, my past experiences? I've got to pick the best school for them, right? Like this is their future. Yeah. But even then, so my daughter is older, but even with her, I was like, you know what I can't do? I'm not thinking about what school is going to be best for her. I've got to think about my son, because my son is going to be treated differently. Yeah. Because my son it's going to be seen as black. He's Muslim. So when you look at him, he's got, very tight curls. Yeah. He looks like probably North African. Okay. I wasn't thinking about her, even though I know she will experience racism as again, I was like, no, but black boys get treated worse. So what is it? What do I need to think about for him? What's the best school? And I went to another school, interestingly, and I went to the open day, really was liking the vibe of how they did it, and had looked at their website and noticed that their teachers were pretty much the same race, white. And so I asked the head teacher and I said, oh, your diversity is so well represented amongst your students. Is that reflected in your staffing, in your teachers? And she lied to my face and she said, yes. And I was like, oh my God, you've just told me a barefaced lie, because I've gone on the website. I'm asking you a question because I want you to answer me honestly with, no, not right now, but here's plans. We're working towards it. Yeah. But no, she went the other way. So again, that heightened oh, actually, she doesn't understand this at all. So anyway, kids have ended up at my primary school, and with much more diverse kind of teaching, kind of support and teachers. Not in the SLT yet, but we'll see when that happens. But it's just, I am so attuned to it. So, if they're going, they're having swimming lessons, and I'm like, why is he not progressed as well and quickly as that kid? Because I can see he's getting praise and he's at this, and with my husband, who's less keen on looking at racism or racialization as the reason for why our children might be othered. Yeah. is going, why haven't you spoken to the teacher? Why haven't you asked them? Like, find out what is the reason, because I want to, like, we want him to progress.
Yeah.
But I also want to find out if it is his race that's holding him back, because all the other kids are white and he's the only brown kid. And I know he's boisterous and what have you, but he also does listen. He does get things, he's really trying hard. So I think you're just on alert. Why have they looked at my kid that way? Why haven't they picked them? You're constantly questioning whether race is the factor, or now Islam as well, right? Like them being Muslim being the factor for why something is or isn't going their way. It's like some of those daily interactions, sadly.
Yeah, the sad reality about racialization, race and racialization, is that unless your children, are physically appearing as Muslims, only people who know them properly know they're Muslims. People in school, people who know their names and things like that, right? Or people who know what people from Muslim majority countries look like, right? Yeah. But with his race, with his skin color, even from afar, from a distance, that is immediately obvious as well. So when you now have and in tight spaces, where you now have a combination of both and more in some cases, then you have the intersectionality situation being created, and that experience is compounded, basically. So I can see that the current expression of how you approach situations is rooted in the experience of your children, and making sure that they don't experience the same things or at least trying to make sure they don't experience the same things that you experience.
Yeah.
And also it helps if they are tracing your steps to correct your own.
No, totally. I mean, my daughter has mentioned it, in a situation once around another girl talking about someone else favoring. And she was like, I think it was because we're brown skin. And there was another girl that got brown skin. That's why she complimented her. And I was like, well, let's unpick that. So she's definitely like attuned to it. Obviously, my son's 5. He's slightly less so. But so I think I wanted to kind of also just share that, the reclaiming side of things is like, not just like, but also like putting into action, like showing my children, actually, we challenge this when we see it, when we hear it, at least you'll see me doing it, where it's safe enough to do it.
Wow. No, that's good to hear. It's really good to know that you're dealing with it in the ways that you are. We definitely live in a different time when there's been advancement made from when you were growing up and being threatened overtly by an adult to now when it might not be overtly, but we know that it's still pretty much a journey for us as a society. What do you wish people understood about moments like the one you had as a child and any others that you've had? Moments that may look small from the outside, but in terms of the impact they have on you, they're consequential.
I think people don't understand just how much those small microaggressions, micro moments build up to really change and affect someone's own identity, questioning it. And then to the point where you are trying to push yourself away from certain parts of what are your identity. And I guess then again, you're like going back to that kind of questioning of your belonging. Like, I'm not brown and I'm not Pakistani enough to be in Pakistan, but I'm not English enough, whatever measure, sorry, I wouldn't even say English, whatever measure they are putting against me to belong here. And so I think we really have to like push back at like children, especially having to experience those moments that are going to have this like potential negative consequences later on. It may affirm them, it may make them more powerful later in life, but I did it from my 20s onwards. There was a long period of time where I was very scared, very much in the, like, let's be in the background, in the shadows. And, as you grow older, you don't care anymore what people think, and maybe, I don't think that people understand honestly, the consequences of some of the things that they say or do. I just hope people will call it out when they see it as well. Like, not calling it out, not doing and being indifferent to it is also problematic. Like, you have to say something regardless of what your race is.
Thank you for sharing all that with me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. And to those listening, as you sit with Fizza's story, I invite you to think about this. Is there something, anything at all, that you didn't used to account for in your life, but which has quietly started to shape how you are seen or how you are treated today? And what, if anything, has that shifted for you?